Vulnerability scanning refers to the systematic search of common security weaknesses in an organisation's digital infrastructure. So in a network application, for example, a database or any other IT systems, before they can be exploited to compromise a system, either inadvertently or intentionally. It's often automated using digital products and services that are also known as vulnerability assessment systems, or VAS. Vulnerability scanning is usually implemented as part of an organisation's vulnerability management programme, or VMP, for effectively detecting cybersecurity issues and evaluating the risk that they pose to the business. When deciding which vulnerability scanning service you should implement, first evaluate your existing VMP if you've already got one in place. If you don't yet, then now's the perfect time to create one around your chosen scanning service or tool. After all, detecting vulnerabilities in the first place is going to be the best place to start when designing your VMP. As part of your overall risk analysis process, it will be used to forecast the effectiveness of proposed countermeasures. Following the implementation of these countermeasures, a vulnerability scan can help you to determine how effective your countermeasures are in protecting that network from attack. And vulnerability management is the process of managing and overseeing this process. So let's head over to Q now and see what he thinks.
So a vulnerability scan usually takes the form of an automated sort of attacker that will go in and try and look for known vulnerabilities on an application. Usually this is going through a list of vulnerabilities that have already been found by somebody else. They're going to look for stuff that they think might exist there, and most of the time they're not interacting in a way that would make those vulnerabilities divulge themselves. They're just checking software versions. They're looking for different pieces of information that might tell them if something is vulnerable.
Whilst designing your VMP and choosing the right vulnerability scanning tool, it's important to identify and consider the organisation's assets. In the context of vulnerability scanning, the term asset describes either a physical or digital component of the business that a vulnerability may be associated with. This could maybe be a piece of hardware on your network, like a router or server. Now, when you develop this process within your organisation, you must determine what the goal of your vulnerability assessment will be, as this will help you to design a specific type of vulnerability assessment that you'll use and scope the overall assessment. Vulnerability management is a process of identifying and mitigating vulnerabilities in computers and networks. This is an extremely cyclical process, so depending on your organisation, you'll need to choose an appropriate vulnerability scanner. Once a scanner identifies the vulnerabilities it finds, you'll need to prioritise them all, fix and patch them, and then scan again, and so on, until hopefully one day you've got no vulnerabilities left. That's never going to happen, by the way, but that's the idea. It's important to bear in mind that using automated vulnerability scanning services is not comparable to using more hands-on testing methods like penetration testing, which we'll cover in the next lesson. And it should more accurately be regarded as a speedy and inexpensive option for taking care of common security issues, or low-hanging fruit, so to speak.